Under the rule of King Ira, Babylon reached heights of prosperity and strength that had once seemed impossible. The city, once a beacon of resilience in the face of endless threats, now stood as an unrivaled power in the ancient world. Its rise was not merely a stroke of fortune, but the result of Ira's unwavering commitment to the well-being and security of his people. The strengthened army. Babylon's military might was the cornerstone of its newfound security. Ira, who had forged his reputation on the battlefield, understood that a strong army was essential not just for defense, but for maintaining peace. He dedicated himself to rebuilding and expanding the military forces, which had been weakened by years of relentless conflict. The Babylonian army became a well-oiled machine, disciplined and deadly. Ira introduced rigorous training programs, ensuring that every soldier was prepared for any challenge. The soldiers, clad in gleaming bronze armor, were the epitome of strength and unity. Their loyalty to Ira and Babylon was unwavering, forged in the crucible of countless battles. Under his command, they were not just warriors, they were protectors of a legacy, defenders of a city that had withstood the might of empires. The fortifications of Babylon were a marvel of engineering. Ira oversaw the reconstruction of the city's walls, which had suffered during the previous sieges. These walls were not merely rebuilt, they were fortified to be stronger than ever before. Towering over the landscape, they were nearly impenetrable, their vast expanse dotted with watchtowers from which vigilant guards could survey the surrounding lands. Babylon's gates, reinforced with iron and adorned with intricate carvings depicting scenes of the city's storied past, were said to be unbreachable. The mighty walls and gates stood as symbols of Babylon's strength, a clear message to any would-be invaders that this city was not to be trifled with. Flourishing trade. As Babylon's military and fortifications grew stronger, so too did its economy. Trade routes that had once been dangerous were now secure under the protection of Babylon's formidable army. Merchants from all corners of the known world began to flock to the city, eager to trade their goods in a market that was rapidly becoming the envy of the ancient world. The bazaars of Babylon were a sight to behold, bustling with activity from dawn until dusk. Stalls overflowed with goods from distant lands, silks and spices from the east, gold and silver from the mountains, exotic fruits and precious stones. The air was thick with the scent of incense, the chatter of traders, and the clink of coins changing hands. The city's wealth grew with each passing day, filling its coffers and allowing for further investment in its infrastructure and defenses. The Euphrates River, winding through the heart of Babylon, was the lifeblood of this trade. Its waters carried goods to and from the city, connecting Babylon to a vast network of trade routes that spanned the known world. Ira ensured that the river's banks were lined with bustling docks and warehouses, where goods could be stored and transported with ease. Under Ira's rule, Babylon became not just a military powerhouse, but a thriving center of commerce. The wealth generated by trade allowed for the construction of grand public works, temples, palaces, and gardens that showcased the city's prosperity and culture. The Hanging Gardens, a wonder of the ancient world, were said to have been built during this time, a testament to Babylon's wealth and sophistication. Unchallenged sovereignty. With its strengthened army, fortified walls, and flourishing economy, Babylon's influence spread far beyond its borders. No neighboring nation dared to challenge its supremacy, for they knew that to do so would be to invite destruction. The tales of Babylon's might had spread across the lands, a warning to any who might harbor thoughts of conquest. Ira's reputation as a warrior king was known far and wide, and it was said that his mere presence on the battlefield was enough to strike fear into the hearts of his enemies. But it was not just his martial prowess that kept the peace, it was the knowledge that Babylon, under his rule, was a city that could not be defeated. The strength of its walls, the discipline of its army, and the prosperity of its people were all testaments to Ira's leadership. The neighboring nations, once eager to exploit Babylon's weaknesses, now sought alliances instead. They sent emissaries bearing gifts and tributes, hoping to secure the favor of the great city. Babylon, once a target for invasion, had become a beacon of stability in a tumultuous world. A golden age. Under Ira's rule, Babylon entered a golden age. The city was a place of peace and prosperity, where culture and commerce flourished. The people lived in relative security, free from the constant threat of war that had plagued them for so long. The streets of Babylon were filled with life and vitality, a testament to the strength and wisdom of their king. Yet, even in this time of prosperity, Ira remained vigilant. He knew that the future was uncertain, and that the peace they enjoyed could not be taken for granted. The world was full of dangers, both seen and unseen, and it was his duty to protect Babylon from them. As he looked out over the city he had helped rebuild, Ira knew that his work was far from over. For now, though, Babylon stood strong, a testament to the resilience and strength of its people. Under Ira's rule, it had become a city that no one dared to challenge, a beacon of prosperity in a world of chaos. The future might be uncertain, but for now, Babylon was a city at peace, secure in its strength and its king. The mirror's shadow. The night was thick with an unnatural stillness, a quiet that settled over Babylon like a shroud. The city, bathed in the pale glow of a sickle moon, seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something to break the silence. The Euphrates River, normally a gentle murmur beneath the night sky, was eerily silent, its waters as still as glass. Inside the grand palace, Ira stood alone in his chamber, his breath misting in the cold air. The warmth of the evening had dissipated, replaced by a chill that seeped into his bones. It was not the familiar cold of the Blazefrost celestial sword, which had become a part of him, a comforting, if formidable, presence at his side. No, this was a different kind of cold, a cold that whispered of death and decay, a cold that felt as if it had risen from the very depths of hell. Ira turned, his gaze falling upon the large, ornate mirror that stood against the far wall of the chamber. The mirror had always been there, a silent observer of his private moments, reflecting the image of a king who bore the weight of an entire country on his shoulders. But tonight, the mirror seemed different. The surface, normally smooth and reflective, was clouded with a dark mist that swirled just beneath the glass, like a storm brewing in another world. A sense of unease settled over Ira, his instincts sharpening as he approached the mirror. His hand hovered over the hilt of the Blazefrost celestial sword, ready to draw the blade at the first sign of danger. The air around him grew colder, the chill biting into his flesh, as if the mirror itself were a portal to some otherworldly place, a place where warmth and light had long been extinguished. As Ira stepped closer, the mist within the mirror began to clear, revealing his reflection, or at least, what appeared to be his reflection. The figure that stared back at him was undeniably Ira, but there was something off, something wrong about the image. The eyes that met his were not his own. They were darker, colder, filled with a malevolent light that sent a shiver down his spine. And then the reflection smiled, a cold, cruel smile that twisted the features of the face into something grotesque, something that was no longer human. "Who are you?" Ira demanded, his voice low and steady, though his heart pounded in his chest. The reflection chuckled, a deep, resonant sound that echoed through the chamber. "I am you, Ira," it said, its voice a dark mirror of his own. "I am the darkness that dwells within you, the shadow that you cannot escape." Ira's hand tightened on the hilt of the Blazefrost celestial sword, the cold of the blade seeping into his skin. "I am not afraid of shadows," he replied, his voice filled with determination. "I have faced the darkness before, and I have overcome it." The reflection's smile widened, its eyes gleaming with a sinister light. "Oh, Ira, you have no idea what true darkness is. The shadows you have faced are mere flickers of what lies in the depths of hell. And from those depths, something is coming for you." A chill ran down Ira's spine, but he did not let it show. "What are you talking about?" "Bree," the reflection whispered, the name hanging in the air like a curse. "Bree, the strongest of the damned, the harbinger of destruction. He is coming for you, Ira. He will find you, and when he does, he will tear you apart, piece by piece, until there is nothing left of you." Ira's heart pounded in his chest, but he refused to let the fear take hold. He had faced gods and monsters, had walked through fire and ice, and had emerged victorious. He would not be cowed by threats from a shadow in a mirror. "You lie," Ira said, his voice filled with defiance. "Bree is nothing to me." I will face him as I have faced every other challenge, and I will destroy him." The reflection laughed, a cold, hollow sound that echoed through the chamber like the tolling of a bell. "You are brave, Ira, but your bravery will be your undoing. Bree is not like the enemies you have faced before. He is a force of pure destruction, born of the darkest depths of hell. And he will not rest until you are nothing but a memory." Ira's grip tightened on the Blaze Frost celestial sword, the cold of the blade a comfort in the face of the dark words. He would not be intimidated by this shadow, this twisted reflection that sought to sow fear and doubt in his heart. "I am not afraid of you," Ira said, his voice steady. "And I am not afraid of Bree. I will face whatever comes, and I will prevail." The reflection's eyes narrowed, the smile fading from its lips. "We shall see, Ira. We shall see. But know this, when Bree comes for you, there will be no escape. You may wield the Blaze Frost celestial sword, you may call upon all the power at your disposal, but it will not be enough. Bree is the end, and he will have his victory." Ira felt a surge of anger rise within him, a fire that burned away the chill of the room. He had faced too much, had sacrificed too much, to be cowed by threats and shadows. With a swift motion, he drew the Blaze Frost celestial sword from its sheath, the blade glowing with a cold, blue light that cut through the darkness of the chamber. "If Bree comes for me, I will be ready," Ira said, his voice filled with resolve. "And when he does, I will send him back to the hell that spawned him." With that, he raised the sword and brought it down upon the mirror, the blade cutting through the glass with a sharp, clear sound. The mirror shattered into 1,000 pieces, the shards scattering across the floor like drops of ice, the cold mist dissipating into the air. For a moment, the chamber was silent, the only sound the faint echo of the shattering glass. Ira stood there, his breath coming in heavy gasps, the Blaze Frost celestial sword still glowing in his hand. The oppressive cold that had filled the room began to lift, replaced by the familiar chill of the sword, a chill that now felt almost comforting.